I'm going to attempt in one sitting to try to get the basis of Inav kind of in a nutshell. So as what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it with my mini DRAC boomer right here. It's on 2.2.1, and as what I'm going to do, I'll show you right here. So I have camera, VTX. These are my 3 servos. This is a F411 wingboard. The top 4 are my Crossfire. Bottom 4 are my GPS. GPS Crossfire in here. VTX is in here. 80 amp B rotor ESC. That's about it. So, is what you basically want to do is you want to find out what version of Inav you have. So you can go into any Inav and go into the CLI. If you have the wrong configurator, which is right here, it won't let you go in to connect. Instead of this, it'll just show you, it'll say you can go to the CLI. So as what you want to do is you want to go to CLI, and right here you type in version, VERSION, and hit enter. Once you hit enter, you can see what target it is. Inav Maytech F405SC. I'm on 2.2.1. So as what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a quick dump all, and dump all basically copies everything that I have. So in case I mess anything up, I can always put this dump all back on. As long as you have the same flight controller, basically the same radio or whatever, you can change from different, upgrade Inav versions or whatever by just going into the firmware flasher, flash it, and then if it's not a big enough jump in the Inav firmwares, you can do the dump all. So I'm going to type in dump, hit the space bar, then all, then hit enter. So it copies everything that I have. OSD, auto launch settings, modes, everything. So it says the configuration is saved and I have all this stuff. So is what I'm going to do, since I'm on a Mac, I am going to basically start at the mixer. Anything with a pound sign in front of it means Inav doesn't copy it. So it starts right here. Doesn't copy the servo, but copies all this. So I'm just going to copy this dump all. Once I copy the dump all, I'm going to put it in a text format. Let's see here. Go to applications. Go to text edit. New document. I am going to paste it, which it's all right here. I'm going to name it. Oops. I'm going to name it MD Boomer 2.2.1 dump all. Then I'm going to save it. Bam. So now let me get out of here. Alright. So is what you want to do. I'm going to disconnect, and this is just like you have a brand new board. I'm going to go to firmware flasher. Full chip erase is what you want. It was a F405SE, so I'm going to go find my board. Maytech F405SE. I'm going to find 2.2.1. I'm going to load firmware. Make sure you have internet connection. Once I do, here's what you're looking for up here. You're looking for this to say DFU. So you go to flash firmware, and now it says it can't respond, but now it just went to DFU. So now if I do it, it's going to make me look like a chump. So I'm going to disconnect USB, connect USB back, then I'm going to try it. It should go into DFU and start flashing, and that's what it's doing. So if you need to find a configurator that you want, you can go to trusty Google Chrome, go to GitHub, Inav flight /Inav's configurator releases, and it has all these releases. This is the configurator. So this is what you want to do is say you want to find 2.2.1. Once you find, go to the next page. I don't mess with the newest stuff. There's no reason for it. Let all the other guys test it and do whatever. So 2.2.1, but you'll notice there's really nothing. You're like, where the hell is everything? So you've got to click on this. And then you go down. You have Linux 3264, Mac OS, Win3264, blah, blah. So you would download that way. So now I'm successfully done. I have right here USB modem. If it ever says Bluetooth, it will not connect. It has to say USB modem. So go in, and first thing you want to do is, just like I was talking about on the Drone Hanger podcast, after you do everything, do your ports first. That's the first thing that I always do. So I know that on 4 is serial RX, not 2, and I know that 6 is GPS. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to save and reboot. Once I save and reboot, I'm going to go to presets, which is what we were talking about before. So on the presets, you have everything from 5-inch racer, Flying Wing Z84, S800. They have a mini drac. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an airplane, because I have ailerons and an elevator. So you would hit apply. It says that it's going to overwrite. You say yes. Excuse me. So then when I go into Mixer, airplane does not have flaps. And you want to do here, you want to go to airplane, which is 4, 5, and 3. Load and apply. Save and reboot. And the first thing, it just did like PIDs and all that stuff. The second one, the mixer that I just did, does the actual servos. So now that we have that set up, you see I don't need flaps, obviously. So delete. Delete. I don't need stabilized yaw either. Delete. So I have 2, 3, and 4. I'm going to hit save and reboot just to be on the safe side. And by default, whenever you go into the modes tab, actually right before that, let's go into the configuration. I'm going to show you something. So the configuration always has permanently enable air mode. You want this. The reason why you want this is if you go into your modes tab, let me find the modes tab, and nothing is selected, that means it's in acro mode. Acro mode uses 20% of your PIDs, which your PIDs are right here. Speaking of PIDs, I hope I'm not jumping around a lot, but just to get everything kind of started, I drop these down to 10. Usually, pitch usually like 15, and roll usually like 8. And then the eyes, 10. And on here, 15. And then that's about it. Whenever you do roll rate, I usually do 300. 250 is good, but I make them the same. Yaw rate doesn't matter. Roll angle, 30 degrees is 5. Manual roll rate, 100%, which is perfect. And that's pretty much it on that page. So now, next thing I do is I go to failsafe, and I make sure it's on RTH. And minimum, I usually go to like 950 just for shits and giggles, and to like 2050 for shits and giggles, and then save and reboot. Next thing is Going to the Advanced tab, Advanced Tuning tab. The Advanced Tuning tab has all the RTH settings and the navigation settings. So I always do return to home, altitude mode at least. And then as far as this is in centimeters. So if you break out your trusty thing here and go centimeter to feet, so centimeter to feet. So if I did, right now it's at 1,000, so that's at 32 feet. So if I do 4,000, that's at 131 feet. So I want like 200. So I'm gonna go to like 55 and see what that is. 180, that's good enough. I'm gonna go 55. So return to home, altitude 5,500. That's in centimeters. Climb before return to home, yes. Never tail first, obviously. Land after RTH, never. Never. So then after you do that, we can look at the abort RTH and all that stuff. That's all fine. And then cruise throttle, depending on if you're on 6S, 5S, 4S. This is a 5S setup, so I know that 1450 is almost 50% throttle, and that's like 60 miles an hour. Min throttle and max throttle, I keep the same. Bank angles, climb angle 20%. I'm not going to be climbing that much. I'm going to be diving for the most part. If I'm in RTH, I leave all these about the same. Save and reboot. All right. For receiver, there's a couple things in a receiver, but I'm only going to set it up because I know I'm TAER. We'll worry about fail-safe later, but make sure that all these RC expos and manual expos are set to 0. All expos in iNav from me are 0, because I don't want no sloppy ass bird. All right. So the only other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to plug in a battery real fast, and I'm going to set up one mode before we start checking everything. Actually, hold on. Start my radio real fast. Make sure I have. Oh yeah. We need to go into configuration and serial based and go to Crossfire and GPS. I'll do auto detect. Actually, you know what I'm doing? Yeah, I'll do auto detect. Why not? Save and reboot. You either do North American or auto detect. So now, without a battery in, let's see if I have any radio. It likes to be finicky whenever you have your radio on. And obviously you see Bluetooth, it won't connect if you have Bluetooth. So now if I go to receiver, my radio's on, I have nothing. So I'm gonna plug it in. All right, stick movements. All right, I have stick movements, but I don't have anything else because my servos are not working yet. I don't know why, but we're going to find that out. All right, you'll see channel 12 that came on. That is my RSSI. So channel 12. Save. All right, so you'll notice right now that I have stick movements, but I have no elevons, no elevator, no nothing. So you're like, what gives? Well, I haven't went to the calibration yet and calibrated my accelerometer. iNav will not work unless you calibrate your accelerometer. So here we go. Turn off my radio. Turn off my radio. Make sure I don't pull out anything. So I'm going to calibrate my accelerometer. So now you hit OK, save and reboot. And now my motor just made a funny little noise. I should, by rights now, if I turn on my radio, it says PMW output is disabled, so it will not stop. Use configuration to enable engine, or to enable ESC motor features. So you enable, save and reboot. Alright, so now I have movement. So you'll notice if I go up, so the first thing you're going to want to do, or actually the first thing that everybody thinks they got to do, is get their stick commands. See, this is elevator, and it's opposite. The first thing they think is, oh, I got to change that because I'm going to be flying in manual mode. Nope, you don't change that. So here's what we're going to do. We need to go into the modes tab and make sure that we have angle or horizon. I usually do horizon. I'm going to put horizon on a switch, and that switch, I believe, let's see, 9, nope. Actually, a way that you can find out what it is go into your receiver tab. So it's channel 7. So in modes, I want horizon, and that switch on 7, so that's where I want it to be. I'm going to save it. So now with my radio still on, it's in horizon mode, because I can see the servos moving a little bit, but they're not moving too much. Not moving too much at all. So here's actually what you do. There's a couple of commands. Actually, put you right there. I'm going to unplug for a second. There's a couple of commands in the CLI that you need to do before we get going. So I'm going to go into the CLI and I'm going to type in get space inclination. And you'll notice that they're at 300. The allowable is 1 to 900. They should be on 600. 600. Inclination is basically, it has to do with deflection in a stabilized mode. That's one of the things. So what you do is you can double click on this whole thing, copy it, and go down here, hit set, space, paste, and then just delete 3 times, and then hit 600, and then hit enter. And you'll see it right there. It's set to 600 now. So do the same thing right here. Set, paste, 600, enter. After you get done, hit save, hit enter, and now it reboots you. So let's check something real fast. Put on my radio again. So basically is what you're looking for. Let me plug this in. So basically is what you're looking for whenever it's in angle mode, is you're looking for the stabilize. You can see they're moving more now. Watch right here. You see that the ailerons are moving a lot more, and so is the elevator. But so when I pitch down, it basically, the elevator is going down. So that's going to make me crash if I'm in a stabilized mode. Also, if you roll, in a stabilized fashion, whatever wingtip goes up in order to counter it with stabilized, that elevon needs to come up. So right now, it's coming up. And I'm checking the other one. It's going down, so the elevons are going the right way. The elevator is the only one that isn't. So in order to fix that, you go into your, I believe it's your mixer page. You go into your mixer page, and actually it's not in the mixer page. Let's see here. Oh, it's in servos, because this is 2.2.1. So we have to find out which one to reverse, because we have to reverse elevator. Pretty sure elevator is servo 4. So let me try that first. I'll reverse it, and I'll hit save. And then we're going to see if it stabilized everything. So now, elevator, pitching down, nope, it did not. That was not it. Better yet, let's just do this. Let's go into live mode. Click this button right here. Now we're in live mode. We can change the mid. Let's say 1800. We'll see which one moves. And that would be the elevator. All right, so that's the one that we need to change. So I'm going to reverse that. I'm going to hit save. And now, if I nose down, elevator comes up, nose up, elevator goes down, roll right, left elevon goes up, roll left, left elevon goes down, roll left, right elevon goes up, roll left, right elevon goes down. So now I'm good for stabilized mode. That right there is what you want. You want Inav to be able to fly stabilized before you even touch your radio. So now we're going to check radio sticks and check for movement to see if they are correct. If they are, we don't touch it. If they're not, we don't change it in the Inav GUI. We change it on our radio. I'm just going to unplug because this ESC is going to drive me nuts. All right. So now we're going to check, actually. Now we're going to check and see. Now we're going to check and see if our sticks are right. So when I roll right, my right elevon should come up to high 5. And it does. And that one goes down. So that's moving correctly. If I roll left, left elevon comes up, high 5. Now if I elevate it back, which should be going up, back is up, forward. So now everything's working perfectly in the GUI for stabilized mode and in the radio for manual mode. The reason why we do that is because if you go to hit return to home, excuse me, if you go to hit return to home and you set up manual mode first and your stabilizers are wrong, just like that elevator was wrong. If we would have changed it in the radio and not in the GUI, whenever we hit return to home, the plane would think it needs to go down. It would make the elevator go down, and then it would kind of freak itself out and go into a feedback loop, and your bird would just spin out of control, nose down to the ground, and you wouldn't find your plane, or you find it in a million pieces. So that's about it for the setup as far as for stabilize and manual mode. I can get into, well, let's get into modes really fast. So for modes, let me turn off my radio on my plane. There you go. All right, so for modes, I put arm on a switch, and when I put arm on a switch, I know it's 5. I usually have it all the way away from me disarmed, and then in the middle armed, and also on the end coming to me armed. That's in case if I hit a switch, if I hit that by accident, chances are I'm not going to disarm and everything's going to be great. On my flight modes tab, channel 7 you see here was horizon. all the way towards me. As far as any other mode, I do manual mode, and that was channel 7. I'm going to put that on the same switch. So manual mode, channel 7, and I'm going to put that all the way up. And then one key thing is, in the middle here, if you have nothing selected, that is acro mode. Acro mode uses 20% of your PIF or your PIDs, so it's air mode. So that's basically what I do for that. Then also I have auto servo trim on a switch that goes towards me, and then I have nav launch on that same switch that goes away from me if I want to launch it. And then I have RTH, which is nav RTH, on a switch going towards me, on a 3-way switch. And then I have, everybody thinks loiter and loiter change might be the same thing. Maybe they don't, but they don't know how to get loiter on a switch in iNav. And how you do it is you do nav alt hold and nav position hold on the same switch. Basically like this. So when you switch into it, it goes right here. Nav alt hold and nav position hold is loiter mode. Okay, so now on the modes tab, you want to make sure that you have horizon on and you have angle mode, or manual mode, sorry, right there. So is what we're going to do is I'm going to take trusty GoPro and I'm going to show you guys something. So in manual mode, look at the throw in manual mode. Then if you go to horizon, you see how horizon just has a little bit. So this is horizon. That's manual mode. Horizon, manual mode. Also, same thing with elevator. That's manual mode. That's angle mode. Sensor lost. So what you want to do is, the goal is to be in a stabilized mode and to have the same throws as you do in manual mode. The way you get to that is you go to PID tuning, and once you go to PID tuning, this right here, sorry, feed forward right here. Sensor lost. I know. So if feed forward is the deflection of your stabilized modes. This is also your deflection, but this is your key deflection. So your roll rate, you do want between 300 and 250, but as far as for stabilized, this right here. So is what I'm going to do. I know where they're supposed to be at, but is what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump from 15 to 30. I'm going to save. And this thing's going to beep like crazy, and it's going to suck. But, so now that I saved, I want you to look at elevator, and then angle mode or horizon. See how it just went down a little bit? That's manual. That's angle, manual, angle. Let's do elevons. So elevons, manual, angle, manual, angle. Getting close, but not there yet. So let me do this. I'm just going to go to 50. 50 and 50. Then I'm going to hit save. Sorry about the ESC beeping. Just going to have to deal. So now, let's go elevator. This is manual. That's angle, manual, angle. So it's pretty dang close. Here's ailerons. This is manual, angle, manual, angle. Now angle's too much. So you would bring down the feed forward just a little bit to get them to be about the same. And that right there is how you set up your deflection in stabilized mode to get it to match what you want it in manual mode. I hope this helped
this build series, or actually setup series, I guess you could call it. If anybody has any questions, you can hit me up on Facebook. You can instant message me, or this will probably be on YouTube as well. So if you want to leave me comments there, do that. But I'm usually on Facebook on, either the Right Wing Nation or the drone hanger group. I'll end up putting that in there as well, so you guys can definitely ask questions in there. And I can make more if you want to get more in depth on PIDs, or more in depth on modes, or how to use auto trim. Right, I'm not claiming I know everything, but I've been doing Inav for about 2.5 years. I came from mini quad, so I kind of got a little grasp of it. If I can help anybody, I will. So hit me up. Later.